G'day everyone, I have a myriad of things here on the table to show you. Hopefully I won't waffle on too much in this video so that we can get through them all as quickly as possible. But if you've seen me before, you know I do like to waffle on occasionally. Anywho, this is a video about this. By itself like that, doesn't look much really, does it? But this is the new Milwaukee half-inch router on the M18 platform. That's right, an 18-volt half-inch router. Is that the first of its kind? I do believe it is. Has anybody else made an 18-volt half-inch router? It's one of the very few cordless half-inch routers around anyway, that's for sure. This is the only other half-inch cordless router that I have, and we will get to that later in the video, hopefully. Maybe we won't. We'll see how we go. Anyway, I'll go through what you get with your tool when you buy it. So this is the main body of the router. So when you buy it, it will come with this. Let's get that one out of the way for the moment. It will come with this fixed base. So you get that. That drops in there like so. We'll just make sure it's open up here. And what do? We press that button and she goes, right, ready to go. So that is the fixed base it comes with. Lock it in. The lock is pretty damn tight. It comes with 5 collets, which is really good. I've never seen a router come with quite so many. All the other ones I've got usually have something missing that I want. Anyway, we've got a 6mm, a 1/4 inch, an 8mm, a 12mm, and a 1/2 inch. I tend to mostly use the 1/4 and the 1/2, but from time to time I do need the 6. I've never used a 12. Occasionally I use an 8, and occasionally I use a 10 or a 9.5mm or 3/8 of an inch. But this is a very good selection of collets. These collets can also be removed from the nuts, and you can put other collets back in there if they get damaged or anything like that, or you need to change out collets for something else. It comes with 2 bases, so we've got this standard base here with a fairly large hole in the bottom. Then we have this secondary base, better for putting in template guides. Also has a whole lot of holes around the edge, pretty similar to one I made a few years back. So good for connecting with the dust port here to suck up the dust. I'll show you more about that shortly. Couple of spanners. These 3 parts go together to give you a guide to run along the edge of your material. That slots in there, those slot into there. We've got a dust port to go onto your vac. And one of these. This also comes with a couple of screws, and it goes in here. Get your dust port thingy, shove it in there. This goes through the holes in it, like so, and it's now locked in place. Well, it's not locked in place because I haven't put the 2 little nuts in here, so you need a couple of little thumb screws to go in there, and that holds your thing. I think that's quite a good system, because a lot of other systems I've used, yeah, not that great with just one little screw in there, and they sort of flop around, they snap off easily, whereas that is a good solid fixment in there. Now, that is the standard base. Put it to the side for a moment. A lot of you are going to want a plunge base. That's where this comes into. Let's put the camera down here for a moment, just change the angles a bit here. Right, that's better. So this is the plunge base. Now this is a separate accessory, and it is a really nice accessory. They have done super well on this. They've done well on the other base as well, but the casting is so nice. Like, there's no rough patches. It's beautifully painted. It is a really nice looking base. It's really good. And the handles are super nice. They're a better TPE type overmolding than even this one has. Slightly different sort of rubbery feel to it. This one's really good. And it's got a square, not round, a square guide here for setting your depth. We've got a micro adjust on the end here, which is very nice. And we've got like a 5-step, what's it, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. I think those go up in about 1/8 of an inch, 3mm, 3.2mm, somewhere like that, which is sort of the maximum depth if you're doing big plunge cuts. You can just do it pass by pass with that, and know that you're not going to be going too deep and putting too much strain on the machine or damaging your material. So that, like I say, is a separate accessory, and it comes once again with another one of these and another dust port So you're all set. Plenty of dust ports. If you buy that separately, you're all good to go. And the tool, just loosen that off, drop it in. You don't need this for the plunge base, so it basically just drops into a hole in the back here. As you can see, it doesn't connect to anything, just drops in, lock it in place, very tight lock on it. And the plunge mechanism is very nice. You just give this a tap, and as soon as you let go, it locks again. So boom, plunge, let go, it's locked. Hopefully that lasts and doesn't start slipping, but as it is, very nice and easy to use. So far so good. What else have we got on the bench? Well, here is the track adapter. That's right, you can put it on a guide rail like we've got in the back of the shot here. Not quite as in back of the shot as it was a moment ago before I tilted everything. Let's go down another level, like so. Right, so we've got a track in the back here. This runs on the track just like your track saw would. So this helps. You want repeated straight cuts with your router. This is going to be the way to do it, and I'm looking forward to using that more than anything else with this tool. Once again, we've got all sorts of measurements on it here for getting the right distance out from your track. We've got a guide here to set it so that you, for different size bits. This all comes sort of kit set, you put it all together. We've got adjustments on the track base here, and I looked at the manual because I couldn't quite work out what the point of this is, because they kind of look like tilt stoppers. Stop your thing from tipping off the track. Not that I think it ever would, because it's not like a plunge saw where you're going to have it on an angle and it's going to be putting all the pressure the wrong way. This is dead heavy and it's going to be pushing straight down, and this is pushing straight down, so I don't know why they're necessary. But in the manual it does have knobs here that release these as an anti-tip mechanism, but it looks here like they've just screwed them down tight onto the thing and removed the knobs. So, and yeah, I don't think you would need it. So that's that. But this also, with the aid of this and an Allen key and a different screw, will attach. If you happen to have the 1/4 inch, you can also just take this off, remove that thumb screw there. This has a little bit so it slots on there like so, screw it on there, and then boom, you can attach this to your track as well. So that's pretty cool. Multi-purpose. So if you've got both of those, you are completely set with quite a good system. Now I'll give it a quick compare to this. Some point in this video we'll compare this and this. In fact, maybe we'll do it right now. I'll put the fixed base on here. We've already got a fixed base on this, as you can see. Chuck a 1/4 inch router bit in each one, and we'll just do some round over type bits, which is what I normally would use one of these laminate trimmers for. And we'll just see comfort wise how this goes, and power wise whether we can get it a lot quicker than we can do it with that one. One thing I'd like to complain about on this, we haven't actually talked about the features of the tool itself. We've got 6 on the speed dial here, goes up to 6. Speed dial feels, just remove it again from here, pops out like so. According to the tool, 12,000 up to 25,000 RPM. But I do have a complaint here, Milwaukee. This is New Zealand, come on man, what's going on here? 1/16 of an inch increments on the dial. Dial's actually got a bit of TPE overmolding on there too, actually that's quite nice. As you can see, that dials through. This is for just adjusting it within the fixed base, not the plunge base. But disappointing that that is in inches. Now in this part of the world, this is the M18 FR12. RBA1 is this attachment, RBA2 is this attachment, and I have no idea what the track number's called, but I'm sure if you say to your local Milwaukee rep, I need one of them pretty red tracks, they'll know what you're talking about. Unless of course you're in the US, where you only get the silver ones. Sorry guys. So I'm going to use this size bit. This is what's known as a thumb radius. As you can see, boom. And I'm going to use a standard 5 amp hour battery on both of these for this test, and we'll ramp up to the bigger batteries later on. Your hand slips into a strap on the side here quite nicely, so we've basically now got a giant one-handed trim router. Let's see how she goes. Now, even though the 1/2 inch was quicker doing that sort of cut, if I was doing a little round over job like that all day, I would stick with the 1/4 inch laminate trimmer over the 1/2 inch, just because it's much lighter, much easier in the hand, less fatigue on your arm and stuff, and all those things do count over time. This, of course, will be used for bigger things, doing stuff like this that this little one can't do, because something like this, I mean, it's almost the size of the tool. So this, of course, not a hope in hell of running that, whereas this, in theory, we'll get to that later in the video, hopefully, if we have time. When I was undoing this, after I'd been using this big one, just the collet size, look at the difference. Look at the size difference there, absolutely massive. Now the collets on both tools, push a button, have a sneeze. Bloody hell. After you've had your sneeze, too much dust up my nose. So you can hold that and then get your spanner, and away you go. Doof, doof, doof. If you can't get it undone like that, you can put a spanner on the top and a spanner on the bottom, and away you go like that. So they're nice thick spanners that come with it too. Some of them that come with routers, they're awfully thin, and they can they can bend. They're that thin, but the ones for both the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch, nice and thick, although they could do with being a little bit longer. Battery usage wise, I'm still not sure which one's better for doing something like a round over bit like that. This won't have to work as hard as this one will, but this one not draining as much power to make the motor spin as this one, so I'm not sure. Time will tell. There's more testing needed to be done, and I may not have time to do that in this video. In those first shots you saw, both the tools were on full whack, number 6. But in this test, where we'll be going through the different ones, I'll start off at 1 and I'll ramp it up depending on what I need to do. So let's go. Right, now a couple of things when using the track adapter. It has to go this way round with the router on the opposite side to the side you would normally use when you're using a plunge saw. And it has 2 screws, thumb screws, that are in here that you can sort of drop on the ground, and then after you've picked them up you can use that to attach it to your router. So once you've done your cuts, pays to take those out, put them back into this base so you don't lose them. It's nice that they came with that, and there's also a set that came with this base and a set that came with a plunge base, so I've got 3 sets of these screws. So hopefully, you know, I can lose up to 4 of them and I'll still be alright, in theory. So once you've got that done up, we can start doing some grooves. But I've got another small issue in that when I just ripped that piece off to straighten up this board, I used this square here from Stealth Mounts, and it's now going to be in the way because I need to start off the edge and go all the way through, so I won't be able to use that to keep it square, unfortunately. Have to do it the old school way. If you want to know about those, take a look down in the description. Now this is a 32mm diameter cove bit, got it set to about 1/4 inch or 6 millish deep. We're gonna chuck on this 6 amp hour high output battery and have a bit of a play, see how we go, see how it feels, try a few different depths, different speeds, that sort of thing. Okay, we're going to start on speed 1. It's lock and load. Just adjusting the track here so that we have movement but we're not sloppy. Okay, let's go. Unfortunately my track moved, but the cut itself was easy. It's pretty smooth too actually for ply, it's pretty good. I'm going to ramp up the speed a little bit now. I've lowered it a bit more, we're down to about half the depth of this, about 9 or 10 millimeters, about 3/8 of an inch. Ramping it up to speed 3. did it again. I tried to go a bit fast just to see if it would stall, and it ended up just making my track move. It's not enough sort of direct weight directly above the track. It could be a bit because this bit of ply is not dead flat, it's a little bit warped. It also could mean that I should really put clamps underneath the track. But hey, that's the fun of learning and playing around with tools, on scrap timber. Right, it is now time to abuse this thing. Now normally the bigger the bit you put in here, the bigger the diameter, the slower you would sort of go, and the deeper you go, the slower you might want to go. But we're going to crank this up to 6, so we're on full whack. I've got this bit down as low as it will go comfortably, so it's sort of just about all the way through this 19mm ply. And ply is a pretty tricky thing to cut as it is, because there's grains going in all different directions, there's glue in there, structural ply, so there's fibers. Anyway, I'm going to see if we can stall it. This is for you guys to see just how powerful this thing is or isn't. I hate doing this to new tools, but it's got to be done. Let's go. Took a bit, but she finally stalled. Battery is flashing, it's not happy, but that was one deep groove, and as you might have seen, this vibrated loose. I can't have done that up enough, I don't think. I was too busy talking when I was putting it in. Didn't do it right. Forgot to nib it up tight. Anyway, it's not something anyone would recommend. This 6 amp hour battery, which was freshly charged, has got one flashing light at the moment. I don't think that is because the battery is flat. I think it is because it is overloaded. It'll just need a few minutes to just relax and come back down to earth. After some quiet time, the 6 amp hour high output has got a couple of bars back, but I think I'll put that on charge before I do any more testing. I'm now gonna put these two up against each other. I'll stick the 12 on this. I'm gonna stick the biggest batteries that each company makes, so the 12 amp hour on here, and the 4 amp hour 36 volt, which is the equivalent of an 8 amp hour 18 volt. I don't have an 8 amp hour Milwaukee, and I want to see how it feels with this big one on, so that's the way we're going. If you don't like that comparison, well, you can cry about it down below. Now we're gonna, once the battery is freshly charged for this one, we've got a 32mm or 1 1/4 inch flat bottomed trenching sort of thing that I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna, do a couple of runs with that with each one, see if there's any major difference between the two. We will run them. Does this one go up to 6? It does too, look at that. So just to be as mean as possible, we'll run them both on 6, and I'll probably cut, depth of cut wise, we'll go, what should we do? Should we be really mean, or should we just be more normal use? Let's go normal use. I'll put it down to 5mm and see how we go. Before we do though, if you want to just see the differences between these, this is a plunge router all the time. Most routers in this part of the world seem to be more plunge routery than the American sort of style of having the fixed base and the plunge separate. Yeah, it's a personal preference sort of thing, like whether you want a barrel grip or a D-handle jigsaw and that sort of thing. This, having the plunge built in, means you never have to change bases, which is nice, of course. Not quite as comfortable to hold one-handed as the Milwaukee, because you haven't got that sort of wraparound base that the Milwaukee's got. Can't wrap your hand around it the same, but it is still light enough that you can use it as a trim router type tool. 36, 18 volt. We've got trigger controls here to turn it on rather on the handle rather than on the tool like this one, because this is a separate unit, as you already know. So yeah, I just want to see the power. Let's just go do this. Place your bets down. Okay, both batteries are charged, ready to go. 32mm bit, 5mm deep. So did you notice something a bit different there? The Hikoki goes along like that. So your hands are moving forward with your piece of timber and your tool, whereas the Milwaukee, they're on the side, they're not round like that. Ideally, I'd rather it was like that. But that's not the way this thing is set up, unfortunately. You have to go sideways. So it means you can push hard that way. I think I prefer that for that orientation of work. Unfortunately, it is the same on the fixed base as well, so not as good with the fence perhaps as this one. So the green one is using twice as many volts as the red one, but the red one does admirably well, but that does come at a bit of a cost when it comes to weight. The red one, pretty heavy. Let's just have a quick weigh of them both here. So with a bit in, but no other accessories, no battery, the Hikoki comes in at just over 3 kgs, 3,085 grams. Whereas the Milwaukee, same setup, one bit in it, no batteries or anything, 4,200, right on 4.2 kgs. Now by the time you put this battery on, you're looking at another over 1.5 kgs, isn't it? Yep. So 5.7, over 5.7, basically 5.75 kgs. It's quite a bit of weight. In the fixed base, significantly lighter. That plunge base is pretty heavy, 1.1 kgs heavier than this base. So with a fairly light battery, so chucked a 5 amp hour on there. And yes, these are genuine batteries. If you live in America, this is what they look like everywhere else, okay? Stop telling me they're fake. 3.77, so almost 3.8 kgs in that configuration, which isn't too bad. That puts it more in line with the Hikoki, which with one of the light batteries, this battery is exactly the same as the 5 amp hour in regards to, this is a 5 amp hour 18 volt or a 2.5 36 volt, and yeah, so they're basically the same weight batteries. 3.778, oh wow, 3.778, isn't that exactly what that was? Or am I 3.778? Wow, that is amazing. Those two there in those configurations weigh exactly the same. That's a first. But put the plunge base on and add the track adapter and stuff, you're getting right up there when it comes to weight. Time to do a bit of a dust extractor test. Well, I don't normally have much luck with dust extraction on routers, but that was brilliant. Another little torture test now. I'm just going to plunge this straight into this slab of macrocarpa. It's 32mm diameter bit. Let's go, see how she copes. Full speed. Well, that was pretty impressive. So there we have it. That is the Milwaukee M18 half-inch router with fixed base, with plunge base, with track guide. Oh, I just remembered. What happened to the there it is. Stuck it under my shelf there. Sorry, bumping everything. The router actually came with a bag as well, so that you can put your router in there, chuck a few bits in there as well. You won't get all the different parts in there. You won't get both of those bases in there by the looks, but it came with this and this. All these pieces together make up a nice system. Dust extraction, I found, well, the best of any router I've actually ever used. Plunge base is great, although a bit heavy, and make sure you never open these up because it'll probably take your head off. When using the fixed base, make sure you open this up when you're adjusting your depth, else if you turn this dial before you open that, when you do open this, you're going to end up with it dropping and yeah, not being as accurate as you want it to be. So loosen that off first, dial, lock it back up again. Never got to do all the tests I wanted to do because I want to get this video out before Christmas for you guys, and so that I can get all these things out of my head so I can have a break over Christmas and not think about tools too much, although no doubt I'll be building things and I will still be recording snippets to put in later videos because yeah, once you become addicted to this shit, that's what happens. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, the subscribe thing. Hit the notification when you do the subscribe so that you get the notification so you know what's going on, you know when something's new. And this is my last Milwaukee review for the year, but I still have 3 more videos that are going to go up before the end of the year. So keep a lookout for those. And I will see you all on another one next year. Going to have a few more Milwaukee ones coming up in the first quarter of next year. And looking forward to trying out some of these sort of tools with the new Forge battery. So the Forge battery on this and the plunge saw and some of the other higher gruntage machines I have. I'm looking forward to trying out the Forge batteries on those. And a special thanks to Milwaukee for supplying me with some of the gear that's in this video. And until then, have a good Christmas and New Year, and I'll see you all later. Tools out.